From engagements to electrical fires to sign writing and more, it's been a hell of an exciting Christmas here at 427 Motorsports. But it's a new year, it's a new series, and we got some amazing projects coming your way. But for this episode, the first thing we're going to do is show you around what I got up to over Christmas, the T25. Yep, it's another cold January here on the channel, and you can tell it's January because it's bloody cold. Before we have a look around the T25, I'll do a little bit of housekeeping. So next up, after the T25, the Mercedes is coming in here to get a rear end rebuild and to get a respray. So we're doing a video on that, maybe a couple of videos. After that, because my dad, who's a prominent member of the channel now at this stage, wasn't doing so well, he wasn't really fit to get out to the garage. Now he's better, he's dying to get working again, so there's a car behind the camera here that he has worked on for years, and he really wants to get stuck back into that. So unfortunately the bay window, which was meant to be the next project, isn't coming in for a while. But what a lot of you will be excited to hear is that the Mark II Golf 1.8T project will happily fit in the garage in front of his project, which means we can work on both at the same time. Which means all the people who wanted to see the 1.8T, it is coming, and it has to because I've been told it has, so I have no choice. With all that said, let's have a quick look around the T25, and the first thing I want to talk about is the sign writing. So yes, I am massively chuffed with how it came out. It looks fantastic. Thank you again so much to Neve or Apology for doing such a great job. Go and check them out on your socials or whatever. Not a sponsored post, I did pay for it, so. Which leaves us to now, what I got up to over the holidays. So we'll start at the back and work our way forward. Of course, getting to the back involves going through the side door, which you may remember last time used to fall off every time you opened it, but not anymore. Turns out my sliding door mechanism was missing a bearing altogether, which was causing it to fall out of the runner and land on the ground. So a big thank you to Brickworks, who sorted me out with some new bearings and told me where they go and what to do. They also sold me a pair of door handles, complete locking set, which was great because it was very cheap, and I've got multiple keys. I got 2 sets of keys, which means I've now got 6 keys for this van, which is maybe a wee bit unnecessary, but hey ho, what do you do? So let's get inside and talk about the electrical fire. So you'll have to excuse me for the absolute mess. The thing is, this is a van, but it's also storage. So everything that belongs to this van has been stored inside. And there's another Garfield. Love me a Garfield. Anyway, we'll talk about the electric fire. We'll come back to all that. Okay, so in here, you can tell I've been doing electrical stuff because everything here is electrical related. So this is the TDI, and I have since learned that yes, it is in fact an AFN. Now, one of the problems I had was I was trying to start the van, and because the engine's in the back, I didn't really notice that there was plumes of smoke going on, and it seems to have been at the alternator. All the plastics, all the wiring from the alternator caught fire, and that was not very fun. I have since worked out that it was my fault. Big surprise. So a plug came out of the clocks at the front, and not the actual plug, but the bit that the plug itself plugs into. And I put it back in, but put it in the wrong way, which meant that all the pins were in the wrong place. So whenever I was trying to start it, it was actually back feeding power to the back, which must have shorted something, and then it caught fire. So that wasn't very fun. However, while looking around all this engine bay stuff, I hadn't really played about with the wiring because the van worked. But I realised that there's loads of stuff not right. For example, the glow plugs, the wiring was completely gone. The glow plugs were just in the engine. No wiring going to them whatsoever. Now, I had another thing here for one of my other TDIs. The wiring is bad, as you can tell, bits are broken and all because these things do tend to break. So I put it on and tried to hardwire it straight to the battery, and that didn't work either. So I think that my wiring is actually bad there too. But That's why you're seeing the aftermath of thing going straight to the battery, just for proof of concept, really. But because of the electrical fire, I then had to go back and look at every little bit and piece in the engine bay. I know nothing about these vans, so I need to make that very clear that I'm very much learning. The T25/T3 Vanagon, whatever, is more based on the Mark II or Mark 1 platform than the Mark II platform. So the wiring is a little bit different. In some places it's the same, because early Mark IIs have a similar setup to or late Mark 1s, but this van being an early one, it's just all about, I don't know what I'm doing. So I did some Googling. I have to give a big thank you to a lot of the forums on Facebook who helped me out with this. There's a junction box in the engine bay, which I didn't know about, and that runs from the front of the van to the back, and that's what feeds everything in your clocks. So a lot of the wiring in there wasn't correct, so I had to figure out what each one did, earth them, see if lights worked on the dash, and so on and so forth. I haven't finished it yet, because while now I have it running again, I still don't have glow plugs, and the alternator, I haven't actually checked if it's charging or not, because the van doesn't want to run for long enough for some weird reason, but I'll get to that in a bit. I don't know if it's charging, but the battery light on the dash is definitely still on, so we need to have a look at that. And there's quite a few things that the previous owner just didn't finish. Like, I think that's an aircon setup. I don't need any of that. I fear the power steering pump as well is down there, but just like empty. So that's going to seize at some stage. So there's bits and pieces like that I just really need to finesse with this thing. But I did get lots of stuff done other than that. So I had to sort an airbox. We had an old K&N filter just lying in the garage, so I shoved that hastily into the corner of the engine bay to try and get something on there. It is inviting dirt to go into it, so I need to sort something there. But I've sorted that at least. And just general electronics were an issue. I had no wiper arms, so I found them and have them buffed back and painted and all the rest. They work. Thank God. They were missing caps, so I 3D printed some. I'm quite chuffed with how they came out. Shout out to all the people who make 3D print files and upload them for people to download for free. They're the real heroes. Something else I did was upgrade the washer nozzles. These are 3-jet ones, which suits a big ass windscreen like this. However, when I went to fit them, I then discovered that there was no piping going to them whatsoever. And I don't know if anyone's ever told you this, but doing washer lines on the T25 is an absolute pain in the arse. Because you can probably tell by the design of the dash and the front of the van and all, the washer thing goes behind the dash. I did not want to have to strip the whole dash out, but I did have an idea. This thing right here is one of my all-time favourite tools. And you might be thinking, what the hell is that? Quite simple, really. You squeeze the end, and this comes out, which means you can feed your wire or whatever you're putting in into that, let go, and it grabs it in and pulls it forward. Which means you can put that behind the dash on one side, feed the hose through, and then pull it out to where you need to go. Absolute lifesaver. Great for doing like speaker wiring and stuff as well. Something else I got up to was replacing lots of stuff that was missing. I had no mirrors, for example, and thankfully my brother used to be big into these vans, and he had some bits and pieces sitting, which meant I got 2 mirrors. Got the bottom grille, which may have been there in the last video, I'm not sure. I was missing an indicator, a headlight, and a couple other bits and pieces, and it really did make the van look a whole lot better. And hubcaps. I painted the wheels. I literally brush painted them black because I didn't know whether I was going to do them black or whether I was going to do them silver, but I went for black anyway, and then I got chrome hubcaps from Heritage. Well, they're chrome. They'd probably be painted in like a year's time, but they're only 13 quid each, so like, come on. The cool part about them for me though is that they've got the Wolfsburg crest on them rather than the Volkswagen crest, and well, we got engaged in Wolfsburg, so it's really, really cool to have the Wolfsburg crest on there. Hence the Wolfsburg football team hat. So as I said, the inside is a bit of a mess right now, and there's a good reason for it. So these seats, these are early T25 seats, but they also fit a late bay window. And it's a lot harder to get nice seats that fit a late bay window, so I'm going to steal these for the bay. Now the initial plan, as you can see there's one here, was Subaru seats. These are out of the lobby that you may have seen if you're a long time viewer of the channel. Me and Ryan went and lifted in, where was it, Derby? Yeah, Derby, where Lara Croft is from. I know that's a tenuous link. Unfortunately they sit a little bit too high, because if you look, this thing basically is on the ground. The rails are actually part of the body, as you can see there. So really to fit seats in this, they need to be totally flat. But we did have a workaround. My brother offered me these. Now, I might be the only person in history to say that a set of Land Rover Defender seats is an upgrade, but these are, to be fair, really nice seats. They fold forward. As you can see, it's not sitting right there. It's hard to do with one hand, but these rails sit perfectly flat, so they should be perfect. And actually, now I mention it, I don't think that these Vanagon, Caravelle, whatever seats were here before. I didn't know whether I was going to put them on or not, and then I realised that they just slide in, and then only a couple of bolts hold them on there. Now, people who know these vans are going to say to me, they're not mounted properly, and I know they're not. They're supposed to slide in like that. However, my garage isn't wide enough to actually slide it in properly, so I had to just set them in for now. But my God, they are so comfy. So they're going to stay there, and then anytime I'm lifting things like engines or whatever, Makita 4 bolts whiz them out, job done. You might be wondering what that is. Let's go to the back and find out. So as you probably spied back here, there's been some insulation and soundproofing fitted. So let's talk a little bit about that. Now again, this isn't meant to be a camper van. However, that doesn't mean I don't want it to be warm and less noisy and less condensation-y. So I got this stuff. I was recommended by a few people. This is actually made from recycled plastic rather than normal insulation, like the stuff you had back in the day, which just absorbs water and then, as you can see, starts to fucking disintegrate and come off. This stuff does not hold water, so the water will just run right off it. It also isn't itchy, which is why I'm happy to touch it here. It's not like fiberglass or whatever, where like you'd be itching for days after you touch it. Comes in rolls from B&Q. I got 2 rolls. I think it came to about 40 something quid. Now, I was quite quite lavish with it. As you can probably tell, there's a lot. Some people might do the roof with it. I might just leave that stuff there, to be honest. But by the time I then do these 2 side doors, which I'll probably put some on, like 1 roll realistically will do a van. I mean, if you're doing a camper, you're probably going to go a bit more overboard than me, but like I'll have this van done with 1 roll. Now, I've covered soundproofing in vans before, but let's have a little bit of a refresh. Usually there's 2 stages to soundproofing. You have this stuff, which is like bitumen, and you roll it on. I had done videos of this, and I'm really annoyed because as I was installing it to this van, I videoed it, and then the videos got wiped by accident, and I'm really annoyed at myself. Anyway, you put this stuff on, which takes away the vibrations. So it makes it sound really, really strong. The microphone's probably not picking that up because I'm actually wearing a microphone on the phone for once. And then after that, you get stuff called closed cell foam, which goes across the top. It's black stuff. It also repels water, but it's designed to reduce the amount of like road noise and stuff like that. There's videos on this properly, but for now, I'm just going to tell you, I'm only doing this stage because this is also a work van, so I don't really care. This will all be covered in stretch carpet, so you're not going to see it. It's going to be black. I will get to that eventually, but yeah. After that, the next stage was doing the door seals. One thing that's a little bit of a pain in the ass about these vans is that the seals are actually like stuck to the doors. What did I use? Do I have any left? This stuff here from B&Q. I bought 2 things of it. That obviously was unnecessary because there's a full one untouched, but I'm sure I'll use that for something. So you have to actually stick them to the doors and things. And it means now I have to slam the door. I think my alignment maybe isn't perfect. But I'll find out when I put her outside whether they leak or not. Thankfully, this being a single door one meant I just had this to do, the 2 fronts, and the tailgate. Now, speaking of the tailgate, it actually functions as a tailgate. Took me a long time to figure it out. I put big struts in as well. Let's not let that hit the garage door. Okay, neat. So, the tailgate now functions as a tailgate. I replaced the latch, and I got one of these at long last after lots of hunting, and it works perfectly first time, and I'm very delighted. I didn't really have any fettling to do. I'm very, very pleased because that could have been an absolute nightmare. This will also probably be carpeted, so that's why I didn't really bother painting it or anything. Got number plates on. I'm trying to think of anything else. That's a lot of it, really. Oh, no, that's a lie. Let's get down under. So we're down now in a place you're going to be seeing a lot of when I put the Mercedes in here and we do a video on. Now, I have to give all credit to this entire part of the video to my dad. I didn't have a clue what I was doing with this, but he was determined he was going to be able to sort it. So first of all, I should show you, I've undersealed the underside. And this is an incredible van. Like, it really, really is in seriously good shape. I'm very, very pleased with it. Sorry, I only have a crappy little torch. So, this is the part we're talking about here, the gear linkages. He's got all his tools still down here. We're going to give this another day of effort to try and get it right before I pull this thing out of here and put the Mercedes in. But long story short, he's been doing loads and loads and loads of fettling and working out with this gear linkage setup. Now this is the reason that the van pretty much was sold to me and nobody else, because he knew that we would try and work it out. Oh, hello cat. What are you doing in here? Anyway, so the problem we are having is with gears, and I think there's nobody better to explain this than my dad. So let's get him in. So we've got him here in the pit. Dad, explain what the hell this is.
Right, this frame was put in to hold the linkage from the front to the back. So this linkage here goes to the gear lever and will give us your first, your second, and your third, and your fourth, and whatever else you want in that line. But the problem is, this needs to twist to go across from first to third, and so on. But a lot of this linkage we got was all hanging down below, round about here. So I have changed it to go to the top, to hopefully push this over whenever you move the gear lever across. And I've got a threaded bar here. The threaded bar here is to give us the changes in the distance between them, so to actually tweak it. So what we need this to work out where reverse is and see how far over either way it goes, so we can put it in now the reverse and then sort out the distance to work it so we can go over the first to reverse. But this here has been a pretty good sound system that's been put in. All I did was I reduced this shaft here because it was too long. I was actually hitting these pipes, so I reduced that. I then welded a piece on top of this with a joint to go to the top of this joint. Again, I shortened this joint, it was way too long. So what I have now is I've basically just trying to tweak it to go into reverse, because we do get first, second, and we do get third and fourth, but we're not getting fifth and reverse.
So we think it's not far enough
over. It's just not like, so what we need to get the van into reverse, so I know where the reverse is.
Yes.
And work the linkage so it's working to it, and then we can go backwards from it.
Nice. So right now, that's where I'm at with the T25. It's got cool sound routing done. It's got loads of the interior done. Some of the electrics all working. The lighting and all is sorted. Realistically, this van is pretty much ready to go once we get the gearbox sorted and once I finish the interior. I've got wood panel in there that I'm going to try and make my own door cards out of, which I've never done before. I don't really work with wood, so that's absolutely terrifying, but we'll get there in the end. So to round this off, I just want to say thank you so much to everybody who's joined the channel. I hope you all had a great Christmas. I know I certainly did. This year is going to be big for 427 because I'm really going to try and push with the channel and do as much as I can on normal socials, but also like networking and stuff, because I've never done anything with anybody else before, and I get the feeling that that might be cool and fun and a way to grow. So gonna give it a go. The cat has jumped into the van. Anyway, I've been Tomo. This is 427 Motorsports. If you'd like to support the channel, check out the website, buy a t-shirt, subscribe to the Patreon, check out the Discord. I'll put links to all that in the first pinned comment. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck.